Everybody asks the same question. Why can't Uber just work in Jamaica like everywhere else? Is it the government? Is it the taximan? Or is it Uber itself? Today we're just going to break down why Uber has not been compliant in Jamaica, or why is it considered illegal to do Uber in Jamaica. So the first thing we all need to understand is that Uber doesn't see itself as a taxi company. It doesn't see itself as providing transportation for others. They simply see it as an app, a software application, just like TikTok, just like Instagram, just like Facebook. Globally, Uber says that we're just an app. Drivers are independent contractors, and Uber doesn't own cars. They don't own the car I drive. They don't own the car you drive. They don't own anybody's car. They have no possession over anything. They're simply just an app. So in Jamaica, if you carry people for money, you are a public passenger vehicle, a PPV. And that means that you either have a red plate, you have some badge from the transport authority, and you have been given approval from some individual in some position, and you've been inspected also from that personnel. But Uber has never fully accepted that system that Jamaica is trying to push for. The government has said clearly that there is no formal agreement between Jamaica and Uber. In other countries, Uber has signed some special deals or operated under new rule ride-hailing laws. But in Jamaica, Jamaica doesn't want to bend to Uber's will. Jamaica is very strict with the laws that they have been upholding for the past couple years. So in other countries, Uber signed special deals or operated under new ride-hailing laws. But in Jamaica, those rules don't exist yet. And Uber hasn't agreed to follow the old ones either. So Uber ends up operating in a legal gray area. Not green, not red, but right down in the middle. And Jamaica does not allow that. But let's be honest though, if Uber was to fully agree, or if Uber was supposed to fully follow the PPV rules that the government of Jamaica is trying to uphold, the drivers would have to pay for things like the PPV road license, badges, inspections, and possibly fixed rates. And with that, they would have higher costs, fewer drivers, because it would be too hard to get into the system. Right now, it's so convenient and so efficient. I can just go on my phone after I've went through the process of showing my taking picture of my license, my insurance, like all the necessary information that is there to prove that I am who I am, and just make it safe for me in case something happens to me, or in case something happens to the rider that is in my vehicle. And that goes against Uber's low cost, flexible model. So the higher costs, fewer drivers, and the higher prices for passengers, just because we, the drivers, would have to pay for the PPV road license, the badges, the inspections, and possibly fixed rates, like what the taximan have on the road. But the Jamaican government also raised serious safety concerns, and in my opinion, every instance of violence that has happened in Jamaica has been through InDrive. I have no personal experience with InDrive. I have never done InDrive. I don't even have the app downloaded on my phone. But I'm pretty sure, don't quote me if I'm wrong. You can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure you don't have to go through any serious vetting process like how you have to do with Uber. To my knowledge, there's never been a case where someone has gone missing, been harassed, raped, or murdered from Uber. It's always been InDrive. So most of the things, or all of the things that have been happening, come from one ride sharing platform, but they generalize it for the masses. And in my opinion, I don't necessarily think it's fair. I also believe, probably I'm wrong again, but I also believe that they find it to be negative, even though I think it's one of the most safe, convenient, and comfortable ways to transport from one place to another. I believe that because they don't have the ability to tax it at the moment, they're not earning from it. And I feel like it's a case where if I can earn from it, you can earn from it either, type of mentality. That's what I think. And I'm probably wrong. And they're probably 100% right about the safety of the people, but I feel like there are always two sides to a coin. There's always a motive. There's always something under the rug that they're trying to hide. So Uber's usual strategy worldwide is to do a couple of things. That's to launch fast. Like when they came into the Caribbean, they just said that they're making themselves available to us, and then they build a popularity, or they build like a fan base. They build demand, because a lot of people depend on Uber at this point in time. A lot of people would rather to pay, and sometimes it's cheaper than the route taxis if you your carpool or whatnot. But a lot of people prefer to be in a car that's not theirs, but it technically feels like theirs, because it's just more like a relaxing space or environment. The experience that Uber carries, you're not mingling with anybody, you're not rubbing up on each other, you're not sweating. You can decide whether you can ask the driver to put AC or the windows. You can just be on your phone comfortable, knowing that, or having a peace of mind that no one is going to attempt to drag your phone or try and steal anything from you. And because of the safety features that the app carries, and again, I have never heard anyone in trouble from Uber, but Uber's usual strategy worldwide is to launch fast, build popularity, and pressure the government to legalize later, like what they're doing right now. And that works in big countries, but Jamaica is different. Jamaica is quite small. Jamaica is literally, like, if you compare it to America, for example, there are over 100 million people living in America right now, and there are merely 3 million people living in Jamaica. And the 3 million encompasses newborns, babies, children, adolescents, adults, the regular working class, and the elderly. And if you're supposed to divide that up, it's really just the working class and some other demographic of people are using Uber. So for them, if they were to actually implement the PPV and all the things that the government of Jamaica would want, economically, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any business sense for them. It wouldn't make any business sense for us either. Because at this point, we're dealing with convenience, we're dealing with flexibility, and again, the comfort and the reliability from, and even apart from just people stealing and raping, like, Uber drivers are way more competent. They are way more professional than the taxi drivers on the road, in my opinion. I remember carrying this medical doctor, and she was like, even when she's on the Uber app and she sees the license plate like PN, she completely cancels it because she doesn't want to be in a taxi. Even though it's Uber, the taxi driver is going to act like it's just a regular day in a taxi, and him going to break the stoplight same way, him going to drive recklessly same way, and that's what she's trying to avoid. That's why she chose me, the Uber driver, who is more of a professional individual, and that's what people are going for. They're going for the convenience, they're going for the safety, they're going for the reliability, and they're going for the comfort. And then Jamaica is, so again, 3 million people, so Jamaica is a relatively small market. And for Uber, full compliance, like what I said, might simply cost more than it's worth. It just wouldn't make any economic sense. So Uber isn't blocked just because of politics or taxi men. The real issue are that the Jamaica law treats Uber like a taxi, even though Uber keeps on reiterating that they're not a taxi service, they're an app. Uber refuses to fully act like a taxi service, and no compromise has been finalized as yet. So until that changes, Uber will stay on the outside. And I was doing some research and I saw some articles that I wanted to speak on. So there's one from the Gleaner, and it was saying that the Transport Authority seizes 273 illegal ride-hailing vehicles in crackdown. So Managing Director Ralston Smith says the authority will continue its enforcement operations through covert activities supported by special seizure teams. On June 4 last year, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz announced a 12-month ban with immediate effect on ride-hailing transport services InDrive, Uber, 876 on the Go, Lyft, and Ride Jamaica due to a national security concern. The move came a day after a convicted sex offender who was offering ride-hailing services was implicated in the murder of a teacher. Again, for Uber, that's what I'm telling you, this is InDrive. For Uber, you need to show them that you do not have a police record. If this individual attempted to drive for Uber, he could not become an Uber driver because he has a criminal record. Again, InDrive is not safe compared to Uber. So all of these incidences are happening from one specific side, and then they just generalize it. They just generalize it, and I feel like that's unfair, to be honest. So in May of this year, Minister Vaz said the government is aiming to implement a national ride-hailing policy by the end of the current fiscal year in March 2026. There are no specific regulations governing the operation of ride-sharing apps in Jamaica. As a result, they fall under the same laws that apply to all public passenger vehicles, PPV. Drivers using ride-sharing apps to offer taxi services must hold a PPV license as stipulated under Section 13 of the Transport Authority Act. Smith is urging operators intending to transport commuters for a fee to apply for a road license, warning they could face fines of up to $100,000 or imprisonment of up to 2 months for operating without one. The authority is also appealing to commuters to only use legally operated vehicles identifiable by red license plates. Passengers are further encouraged to report white plate vehicles that show up to offer taxi services when booked via the Uber or InDrive apps. You know the funny thing too? There's so many policemen and policewomen doing Uber as well. So it's kind of hypocritical, in my opinion. I also saw a couple more articles, but I'm not going to bore you guys, but that's really just the moral of the story. Or not the moral of the story, but that's just my 2 cents, kind of my opinion. And so with some data to back it up, I suppose. But when I'm personally doing Uber, I try my best to follow all the road codes. Even when I'm not doing Uber, in general, I try to follow all the road codes. I stop at my stoplights, I stop at my stop signs, I try not to do any rolling stops. I put on my indicators when I'm changing lanes or when I'm turning. I try my best to not be stopped. Like, I don't want the policeman or the policewoman to have a probable cause of stop. That's the first thing. And if they were to stop me, who is to say that the person who is beside me or the 2 or the 3 people in the car are not my friends or relatives or somebody of affiliation to me? Why does it have to be Uber? And also, don't you need permission to go into my phone. If I simply don't give you permission, can you go in my phone? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not studying law right now. I'm studying a different course or a different field. But I believe, if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments, but I don't think it is legal for any police officer to go into my phone without my permission. And I simply do not give you permission to look in my phone to look if there's an app in there that you are looking for. And I know that this is Jamaica, and people are corrupt, so there will be times that they'll stop you for no reason. And hopefully, if the person who is in the car just don't bust on you and say that this is an Uber trip, I really don't see how they can prove to you that this is generally doing Uber. So as I said, over 200 persons are already have been affected by this situation. Again, I'm sorry for everyone. I'm sorry. I'm also sorry for the victims and the persons from InDrive. And I really hope that everyone is trying their best to be safe, always be vigilant to their surroundings and aware of what's going on at all times. But in my opinion, I think it is somewhat unfair to generalize all sharing apps as being dangerous, when in my opinion Uber is even safer than public transportation. If you argue with me, we can argue, we can talk. Again, this is informative information. This is, in my opinion, I hope this is informative content. I really don't want to waste anybody's time. I hope this shed some light on why I clicked on this video. Uber being illegal in Jamaica, or just not being, Uber being basically illegal in Jamaica. So hope you like the video. Subscribe if you want to, and if you don't want to, no pressure. And I'm sorry I took so long to post another video, but I'm in school and I'm juggling a bag of things right now, just trying to stay afloat, not try your own. So hope you like the video, and later.